friends and relatives of our brave fighting men. Johnny Clark looked around for his next subject and spotted a well-dressed older woman walking briskly away from the gate. She looked incredibly flustered, her face flushed with lingering indignation. It was Aunt Bee. "Excuse me, madam," Johnny Clark called out, jogging slightly to catch up with her. "Excuse me, would you mind talking to us on the radio for just a brief moment?" Aunt Bee stopped and looked at the microphone suspiciously. "What?" Johnny Clark smiled his most charming, winning smile. "Tell me, madam, how did you enjoy your visit to beautiful Camp Henderson today?" Aunt Bee took a deep breath, and all the pent-up frustration she had been holding back came pouring out. "Well, not very much. I can certainly tell you that right now. I have never been so deeply shocked and surprised in all my born days. I just came out here to visit my dear friend." Johnny Clark's eyes lit up. This was gold for his broadcast. "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. Just a moment. Please, you obviously have a great deal of important things to tell us. But first, what is your name for our listeners?" "My name is B. Taylor," she announced proudly, "and I have never heard anything like the horrific behavior I witnessed today in all my life." "Whoa, whoa, wait a minute. Johnny guided the conversation expertly. "Who exactly was hollering, and who were they screaming at?" "A sergeant," Amby declared, leaning into the microphone. "A Sergeant Carter. He was shouting and screaming terribly at my sweet friend Gomer. And for what? For moving a sand pile from one place to another place, and then moving it back again, not making any logical sense at all. It is pure cruelty." "My word," Johnny Clark murmured, holding the microphone closer. And then Amby continued, her voice rising with dramatic flair. "He came along, and he just about pushed me straight down the dirt road." Johnny Clark gasped playfully. "No, he pushed you." "Yes, he quite literally pushed me down the road," Amby insisted, her memory slightly exaggerating Carter's firm, guiding hand. "Oh, my," Johnny prompted. "Who exactly pushed you?" "Sergeant Carter," Amby repeated firmly. Johnny Clark looked into the imaginary camera of his radio audience. "Sergeant, I find that incredibly hard to believe." "Well, he certainly did," Amby affirmed. "But it was the hollering and the screaming that truly upset me the most, back home in Mayberry. If a grown man behaved like that, we would not have a single thing to do with him in polite society." Johnny Clark nodded, absolutely thrilled with the spontaneous drama. "Well, that certainly is a very interesting story, Miss Taylor. But, we are rapidly running out of time for this afternoon broadcast, and I would very much like to hear more about this terrible injustice. I am quite sure our dedicated listeners would love to hear more. Too, I wonder if you'd like to appear as a special guest on my evening television show tomorrow night." Aunt Bee blinked, surprised by the sudden invitation. "Yes, I suppose I could. Are you going to be broadcasting in town tomorrow night?" "Yes, I am," Johnny assured her. "I am coming back to the base tomorrow to see Gomer anyway," Amby reasoned out loud. "Wonderful." Johnny smiled broadly. "Then I will absolutely expect you to be on my television show tomorrow evening." Johnny turned back to his equipment. That officially winds it up for this afternoon broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a Johnny Clark at Large show, signing off. Inside the camp, in the quiet administration building of Company B, Corporal Boyle sat at his desk, listening to a small portable radio. As Ampy's impassioned speech ended, Boyle's face drained of all color. He immediately grabbed the telephone on his desk and dialed his commanding officer number with trembling fingers. "Company B, Corporal Boyle speaking," he said urgently into the receiver. "Yes, sir." "Okay." "Yes, ma'am." "Sir, I did not push her." "Yes." "Sir, I will be right over to your office on the double." Corporal Boyle hung up the phone, a look of sheer terror on his face. He rushed out of the office and sprinted across the base to find Sergeant Carter. When he found him, Carter was relaxing with a cup of coffee. Boyle quickly relayed the disastrous news of the radio broadcast. Carter dropped his coffee cup, the dark liquid splashing across his boots. She went on the radio? She said I push her? Yes, sir. Boyle nodded frantically. And she is going to be on the television show tomorrow night to talk all about it. Carter's eyes widened in pure, unadulterated panic. But I did not push her. Some people can really fool you, Boyle. She seemed like such a sweet, harmless, motherly type of woman. Well, she is not, Sarge, Boyle said grimly. She is a ruthless killer, Boyle, Carter gasped, pacing around in a circle. A cold-blooded killer. And this is all your fault, Boyle. This is entirely all your fault. My fault? Boyle asked, confused. Yes, your fault, Carter yelled, though his voice lacked its usual strength, replaced instead by the fearful quiver of a man who saw his hard-earned stripes disappearing before his very eyes. The next morning, the sun had barely crested the horizon when the lights in the barracks snapped on. It was exactly 5:30 in the morning. Normally, this hour was accompanied by the sound of metal trash, cans clanging, and Sergeant Carter screaming at the top of his lungs. Today, however, the barracks was eerily quiet. Carter walked down the center aisle, his hands clasped neatly behind his back. He had spent the entire night agonizing over the situation. The base colonel had heard the radio broadcast and had given Carter a very stern talking to, heavily implying that bad public relations of Marine Corps could severely damage Carter's career. Desperate to save his rank, Carter had devised a radical, terrifying plan. He was going to be nice. "Good morning, gentlemen," Carter said softly, his voice dripping with bizarre, unnatural sweetness. "It is time to get up. Rise and shine, my friends." The men in their bunks groaned, confused by the gentle tone. Several Marines cracked one eye open, wondering if they were still dreaming. "Up, up, up," Carter cooed, walking gracefully past beds. Upper belly. "Up, up, up, upsy-daisy." He stopped at the end of the row, right beside Gomer's cot. Gomer was sleeping soundly, a peaceful smile on his face. "Pyle," Carter whispered gently. "Pyle." Gomer did not stir. He was entirely conditioned to wake up only when the decibel level in the room reached that of a jet engine. "It is 5:30 in the morning," Carter sang softly. "It is time to get up. A beautiful new day is dawning. Pyle, Pyle." Slowly, Gomer's eyes fluttered open. He looked up and saw Sergeant Carter standing over him. Gomer bolted upright, momentarily confused. "Oh, did you holler, Sergeant?" "No," Carter replied, maintaining a stiff, terrifyingly wide smile that showed all of his teeth. "I did not holler, but I have been patiently trying to get you up for a little while now." Gomer scratched his head, perplexed. "Well, that must be the reason I did not wake up. I am used to getting up quickly when you holler." Carter's smile twitched slightly, but he held it in place. "Well, I did not holler today." Gomer stared at Carter's face for a long, uncomfortable moment. "Is there something terribly wrong with your face, Sergeant?" "What in the world do you mean?" Carter asked through gritted, smiling teeth. "Well, your lips are spread out real funny," Gomer observed innocently. "I am smiling, Pyle," Carter explained, the strain clear in his voice. "Did you never see anybody smile before?" "Oh, sure," Gomer nodded slowly. "But it looks kind of funny when you do it." Carter let out a small, controlled breath. "Why do you not just get out of the sack, Pyle?" "All right, everybody," he announced to the completely bewildered platoon. "I would love to see all of you gentlemen out on the street, fully dressed, in exactly 3 minutes. 3 minutes, fellows. Hurry it up, please." As Carter walked toward the door, still beaming like a madman, Corporal Boyle fell into step beside him. "Hey, Sarge," Boyle whispered, deeply disturbed. "What exactly was that? What was that entire Mr. Nice Guy routine you just did? Are you cracking up under pressure?" "No, I am not cracking up," Carter muttered, his smile finally dropping for a brief second. "I am just getting in some much-needed practice." "Practice for what?" Boyle asked. "For that Taylor dame," Carter hissed, looking over his shoulder. "When she comes out here today." I have got to show her